As anyone watching this video knows, last season, Jeff Babbitt and Ben Jagt switched spots from O-line to D-line in what could go down in Empire history, and I'd say all of AUDL history, as one of the most important mid-season personnel moves of all time. And I do say that without hyperbole or bias, because you'd be hard-pressed to find any other mid-season moves in AUDL history that could almost directly result in an AUDL championship, let alone an undefeated season. This was a two-time AUDL MVP, moving lines, switching with someone that had been a rock of record-setting AUDL defenses. That move changed everything. Well, again, you know me with these contradictions. I want to say almost everything, because there are a few things to note. Both still usually play the end of the quarter point, serving up both game-saving blocks and game-clinching catches on those full-field hucks. Just ask DC in the division championship game. While those moments can swing close games, those plays aren't the ones you practice and don't define the identity of a team. And I also don't mean to play devil's advocate and neuter down this switch, but Babbitt only played the majority of his points on defense in the first 3 games of the season. Jagt didn't make the switch over to defense regularly until Game 7 against the Rush, coinciding with the arrival of John Randolph and Jabron Meeser on the D-line, which also changed things up quite a bit. By the numbers, Babbitt played 15 O points and 46 D points in the first 3 games. Against Montreal in Week 10 while dealing with injury, he only played 4 O points and 9 D points. The other 11 games of the season, it was 180 O points and 37 D points. Jeff Babbitt was an O-line player all season long. Jagt, meanwhile, was just a complete switch to D-line. He played 115 O points in the first 6 games and 36 D points in that same time. For the other 9 games, it was 48 O points and 160 D points. I know that numbers are boring, so let's go over the numbers that really matter. I already mentioned the asterisk about Jeff moving prior to Game 7 against Toronto, but to make this easier, let's say that's when the official switch happened. For the remaining 8 games, including the 3 playoff games, Babbitt had 3 assists, 33 goals, and 2 blocks. Jagt, meanwhile, had 17 assists, 23 goals, and 10 blocks. And those numbers actually make a ton of sense when you look back to the games played. Because it's not just about the individual numbers, it's about the margin of victory and a lot of other factors when you're judging game-by-game box scores. Some of those numbers are skewed due to the blowouts of division foes, as well as the roles that both of these players were asked to fulfill. Babbitt is more likely to recycle possession back to the handler than Jagt usually is in his career, after those big yardage in-cuts from both. But he's also less likely, that being Babbitt, to unload a 40-yard dime the way Jagt is. Babbitt's offense is precise yet explosive, and while he seemed to be a perfect fit on the Empire O-line, it was Jagt's transition abilities that I really think made the switch make sense. Jagt was a 2-time AUDL MVP as the best number-getting player in the league, but this move to D-line arguably gets the best version out of him. During championship weekend, you may say that 3 goals, 3 assists, and 2 blocks isn't much by his regular standards. I mean, his 44 goals and 44 assists do equal the highest total AUDL playoff scores in history. But think back to championship weekend. You remember that play in the Flyers game at the buzzer, the sky and the throw to Marquez after the Randolph block, what has become synonymous with that game. Then in the final, you can say that he was quiet, but look at his defense on Jeff Weiss. He gave Weiss trouble, and he hadn't seen that all season, and that was a huge part of the Empire's quick start in the final. The last thing I have about this switch is about the future as much as it is about the present. No disrespect to the offensive wizards out there, you work hard, the legs are moving, but there are a lot less instances, we'll say, to physically damage your body the way that those D-line players do, throwing their bodies around, the way Jeff Babbitt has done for close to or more than a decade. And at 29, Babbitt has seen his fair share of injuries in his career. So the move to O-line could elongate and give him more longevity that I think that he does deserve. Jagt may have crossed the Rubicon that is 30, but he has largely avoided injuries in his career, and he did start his elite playing career a little bit later in life than others did. So I think Ben Jagt has a ton left to give, and I'm talking not months or even seasons, but you could start to say years, especially when you're considering the long-term history of the Empire. It does seem this season like those two will pick up right where they left off last season in the championship game. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. But actually, Anthony Nunez and Charlie Hoppes did that last year, so what do I know? What I do know is that Jeff Babbitt and Ben Jagt will be ready for the home opener on Saturday night, 7 p.m. New Rochelle against the Philadelphia Phoenix. So get your individual tickets or your season pass, and we'll see you there.